Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Solganize Your Life podcast. And I noticed that the more that I Solganize my own life, the more I'm enjoying being a human. And as a psychotherapist, I often talk to people during sessions about how outer circumstances of life are affecting them. And I narrow it down into two very distinct ways. One is through the psychological ego, and the other is through our divine soul connection to all that is. And I keep telling my clients it's really important to know the difference. And why is that? Well, that's where our guests come in. And I believe that they're always invaluable in sharing, excuse me, their own internal conflict that they've had over the years with this and give us ideas on how they integrated these two perspectives into one full, beautiful human experience. So thank you so much, Julia, for coming on today. And I'd love for you just to jump in and introduce yourself.
Great to be here. Thanks for inviting me. Yeah, hi everybody. I'm a spiritual guide and a clairvoyant teacher. Clairvoyant means clear seeing. Talk about that in a minute. And I help intuitives, highly sensitive people, empaths, to be able to manage and master those extra energies that you're picking up, and what to do about those, and how to take your next steps with those.
Oh, and I love what you just said about extra energies we're picking up, because I really believe a lot of some of the mental health statistics coming out now about anxiety is the fact that we are picking up some additional energies around us and we can't point to what it is, right? So maybe we blame it on our spouse, or we blame it on our kids, or we blame it on our job, and it's exhausting and it's not working. And so I really want to encourage people to consider that maybe what you're feeling is not just about you and your ego, and it's about something much bigger than that. So it's really important, I think, for us to listen to people like you who have the ability to talk us down from the lead, literally sometimes, about why we are so overwhelmed by our feelings. So thank you so much for being here. And I'd love to hear about your life before you called yourself a spiritual guide and a clairvoyant. Because again, the point of the podcast is to discern the difference between our ego and our spirit.
Sure. Yeah. I grew up in the South and I've been moving my way west. Now I got to the Pacific Ocean. I can't go any further. But I woke up. I would say I came in feeling different already from everyone around and trying to fit in, when I'm thinking about, well, what are other civilizations beyond Earth doing? Or I would see someone saying something, but they meant something else. And so there were these incongruities going on around me, and I just didn't know how to process or what to do with it. So I would say I was kind of feeling different right out of the box. But before coming to psychic, I always knew I was sensitive, and I heard you're too sensitive. That's a problem. You need to toughen up. You know, the regular stuff that parenting from that day is trying to make you a better citizen.
Yes.
But, you know, as a sensitive kid that's really sensitive to other people's emotions, I felt everything, but I heard things too. I was aware on, thought, and they didn't have to say it. So I was aware on all these levels, but I didn't have a voice for it. And I think I kept myself really busy. I was a rock drummer.
Awesome.
And I would play in clubs, and I had gone to school and I got a master's in music and everything. And I just kept myself busy to try to shut out all the noise that was going on in my head of these extra frequencies that I was picking up, and not knowing it and thinking, well, I'm just super active. And I would, do a lot of sports and play music a lot and just go to the next appointment, go to the next appointment, go to the next appointment. And then I was, in clubs a lot and drinking beer and stuff. And all of these were strategies to cut out the noise that was in my head.
Yeah.
And I started going to therapy, which was it was hard at first because I literally couldn't talk, and I'd have to write things down. And I remember it was during a session that all of a sudden I started to see, like, there were 5 beings in the room with us against the wall. And the therapist is being very calm, and she's saying, what are you remembering? It's, well, I see these beings. And, and I knew that she was going, uh-oh, diagnosis code, or
Yes,
what, writing notes, but she's keeping the straight face, but I could totally zone in on where she was. I didn't care. I liked her a lot. And, the person's seeing things and talking to people. Oh, we're going to have to get some medication or something. And I became aware there were 5 beings in the room, and she's very calm and professional. Oh, well, whose do you think they are? And at the time, I remember saying, well, I think they're yours, like guides or something, but they were probably mine. I didn't know yet. And that kind of opened, I put the beer aside, and all of a sudden, all the go, 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 go. And I was stopping to introspect who I am, as we do in therapy, and I'm stopping to take a minute, instead of running away from all this noise that I was aware of, my head spinning all the time. And I would have been diagnosed ADHD these days.
Yes.
But all it was me picking up all these extra levels of awareness all at once, like too many radio frequencies, too many radios in the room, and you're trying to listen to country and rock and classical and talk radio at the same time.
Yes.
And of course, I didn't have anybody to talk to or any language or anything about that. So it was through that kind of opened the door, and I got right into it. I'd been interested in spiritual stuff all along, and it just seemed like a road far away that someday I'll get to that. But it was like, okay, put the beer aside, and I started meditating right away. And then, I was doing a meditation which was more service oriented towards humanity, which I loved, but it didn't show me anything about myself. All the meditation was out. Didn't realize, therapists might say, oh, you're disassociating. Well, the owner of the body, the spirit, left, so I wasn't meditating properly yet. Then I came to the clairvoyant training, which I didn't come there because I thought I'm already clairvoyant. I didn't come there because I thought I want to tell your future. I went to the classes and I went, this is fun and easy, and it starts to integrate all of me. And that was in the 90s, and I still take training today, and I've been teaching for 20 years, 18, 20 years or something. So I just love it. And it's all about your soulganizing of 2 different spaces of the body personality. That's your next question, right? How do you define ego?
Yeah. Well, and, going back to the beginning, you said I was interested in spirituality, but you had no one to talk to about it, right? So how did you build up sort of your own personality there?
Well, this is growing up, in 60s and 70s in the South, and there's just church. Okay. So I went to church. I like church, but there just wasn't any outlet. Today, you throw a stick and you hit a psychic, or a spiritual person.
Thank goodness, we need more of us, right? Yeah. So when you were
it's a time in history too.
Yes, absolutely. The age of Aquarius, or whatever you want to call it, something happened, something flipped over for sure. Which is another reason why I think it's important to have podcasts like this that, we just need a lot of people talking about this, is my opinion. But, but going back to when you're younger, I like for, again, people that come to the podcast to have a real good understanding of your version of your ego, what you did to survive your childhood, to, be around people who didn't accept what was happening to you, and how, what you did to sort of fall in line. How did you adapt? What career did you follow? I know you said you kind of drank a lot and hung out in bars, but you were also jamming to music, and that sounds really fun. So tell us a little bit more about that.
In that time period, and maybe this is the generation of my parents coming out of the war, World War I and II, and they, their parents and grandparents, and there was like a structure for humanity, for Americans to fit in, follow directions and be a good citizen.
Yes.
And all our schools, we're taught The teacher has the information, the book has the information, read it and remember it, and you'll be a good
Mhm.
student. So we're taught
Yeah.
to follow directions all
Yeah.
along. And so you want to be, I wanted to be a good person. And so I
Mhm.
do what other people do. That's kind of the
Mm.
training that we had. We didn't have intuitive training. Look and get your answers for yourself. Expand, be
Right.
creative, try
Yes.
something new, build something new, the next step, not just remember what
Mhm.
we've been doing. So that's a bigger paradigm shift. But for me, coming into the difference in ego and soul came later in my spiritual training. And I would say I started to learn, and I would call the ego, it connotes more of a kind of negative viewpoint sometimes, like the ego's a problem or whatever.
Right.
But I would say today, I would call it the body personality. So there's a
Mm.
body personality and
I like
then
that.
spirit or soul. And the body
Yeah.
personality is made up of different frequencies, like the physical dense body, this
Mhm.
suit
Yeah.
is at a slower moving frequency. So
Mhm.
and then the next frequency up also in the body personality is our emotions, how
Mhm.
we communicate, interact with each other. I'm sad, I'm happy, I'm angry, whatever emotional frequency band. And then there's the lower mental band of I'm remembering things, I'm thinking about things, I'm working things out. That all of that is part of the body personality. And
Yes.
and then the spirit animates that.
Yes.
And so seeing them as different parts and putting my training and what I teach is now putting that higher self in the driver's seat. Because if you
Mhm.
keep asking the body personality to be more spiritual, that's not its job.
Oh, good
So
question. Good
then it's
point.
putting yeah, so it's putting the higher self in the driver's seat, like a hand in a glove, the hand
Mhm.
being the spirit and animating the body personality. That they're you could say in a broader sense too, in the upper mental space of the spirit is where the body was created. Now that's a little abstract to do anything with.
Yeah. Yeah.
But at this point, just saying the body personality is made up the physical body, our emotions, and our lower mental of where we think about things and we remember things. That's all the body personality or ego.
Yeah, I guess I would say for people coming to therapy, right, the ego is causing them suffering. Their preferences, their limiting beliefs, like you said, the body personality is struggling to override reality, I would say.
Yeah.
It's like, I want these things to happen. I don't want these things to happen. And they like shake their fists at the universe and like bend to my will, and I feel like, so when I think of ego, I mostly think of like, what's the part that's causing you suffering, right? And so in the body personality, right, like you said, it's all connected, the body, the emotions, and the thoughts, but only certain emotions and thoughts are causing you suffering and others aren't. And even the ones that aren't causing you suffering, right? Like when you were younger, you probably got a lot of enjoyment from playing the drums and from being out in the bars and stuff, right? So didn't really cause you suffering, but it was still maybe not who you really were. And I think that is so complicated to unpack, right? And then to your point is like, how did you personally switch, right? You said I put aside the beer a couple of times, right? I'm guessing that's really important is to put aside your vice, right? And then go inward and say, okay, so it's not the drummer that's seeing these five beings in the therapy session, right? It's not the
Right.
drummer hearing, it's not the partier, it's not even the good girl. It's something more. And that's when you embrace it. It sounds like a lot of people don't, but you did. And what was that like for you?
Yeah, I would say, so much good stuff you just said in there. And I was thinking, as an exercise, if somebody wanted to try, it's like going grocery shopping as the body, the body that wants desires, feed
Yeah.
me, fuel me, make me feel better. You know, the spirit's whole, it's complete. It's all connected. It doesn't have those desires.
It
So if
doesn't.
I went grocery shopping as a body personality, I might grab a candy bar and some Coca-Cola and a pizza, and there's
Oh, you're
no
making me
nutritional
hungry.
value.
I love all those things.
No nutritional value for the body
Yeah.
at all,
Mhm.
and lower vibrations and stuff. Or if I put the higher self in charge, they might go, oh, you need some leafy greens and some pomegranates
Mhm.
and a nice lemon in your water over here or something.
Yeah. Yes.
You know, they're different paths.
Yes. So which, I guess, how did you flip over into following the higher self more than the body personality?
I started with meditation and thinking I'm a body with a soul out there that's connected by a little thread.
Yes.
And I don't know, do I need to like pull the thread in
Mhm.
and have that? So I would sit and meditate and then kind of tune into something outside of me. That was in the first kind of meditation I did. So I'm still
Yeah.
fully being the body personality and all my desires and, you
Mhm.
know, all of that, because I didn't know any different and there were no role models
Mhm.
around. You said something important too, was I knew that I wasn't being me.
Mhm. Mhm.
And that was true. I knew that, but I didn't know what me was. I guess I had these visions of doing yoga and going to retreats and stuff,
Uh-huh.
which I can do now.
Yeah.
It seemed a long way away there. But when I went, that was the first meditation I did, and we just sit, and there's tons of meditation out there, and a lot of it's kind of quiet your mind and prepare.
Mhm. Mhm.
So that's what I was doing, quiet the mind. But then we would do meditations for service. And like I said, I just left the body. I wasn't present as the soul in the body. I just left.
Mhm.
But I didn't know that. I didn't have a coach saying, hey, you need to have your awareness here and here.
Mhm.
Um, so then when I got to the clairvoyant training and they started saying, be the awareness, don't call it, have a telephone line to it that it's somewhere beside you. To me,
Mhm.
that's the part that animates.
Mhm.
That's the part that's connected to everything else, to the all, and has that wisdom that I've been seeking all along. But through reading books, and back then it was self-help books.
Yes.
Now it was before the internet, right?
Yes. Uh-huh. You had to go to
So
the library.
well, I go that they've started having what were those bookstores, like self-help books in a
Mhm.
new age bookstore, they would call it. And I knew the latest one coming out and when it was coming, and I would gobble it up and I go, well, there's helpful stuff here, but it's missing something. It's missing something. And that was the connection with soul that you're talking about here.
Yeah. So
And
when
it was,
you're doing all that searching, were you still doing all your previous, uh, you know, lifestyle? Were you still drumming? Were you
yeah,
still working? What was your life like?
yeah. Where was it? Yeah. So like I was in Dallas, Texas, and I taught in a school system and during the day, and then I played clubs 4 to 7 nights a week.
Wow.
And yeah, it was pretty, like I'm saying, I just kept myself real busy
Mm.
to try to outrun the noise in my
Yeah.
head.
Yeah.
Pro
Wow.
tip,
So you
doesn't
were a
work.
teacher? You were a teacher?
Yeah, I was teaching private lessons back then, but my master's is music education. So I
Oh,
also
okay.
taught college along the way.
Okay.
And I've been a teacher. I teach everything I love doing, right?
Yes.
So
That's the other thing I
so
notice
that's
about
the,
people in your position is their body personality usually has something to do with their soul personality. Like they are a teacher, right? At some level. It's just what were you teaching at the time? And so, yeah, to your point, maybe it's more integrated than, this and that.
yeah. I think what I've learned is we have like your soul has a like a type, you know. Um, like some souls may be more devotional. They really want to be a part of something else and like set a foundation and work with a partner, husband, wife,
Yeah.
be that devoted father, daughter, whatever.
Mhm.
That would be one soul type. I would be like a guide, a teacher type,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
And seeking truth. Where's the curriculum that that student is working on? That's a leadership soul. You know, it's like a 2-year-old that's comes across bossy. There may be leadership in there, but not having an outlet for it yet. You know, like
Yeah.
I know I need to be the boss, but I'm only the expert of being a 2-year-old so far.
Oh,
So
that's funny.
they're working that curriculum. So leadership souls can be, you know, micromanage people along the way. That's part of their goal, and then get to be more lifting people up. So you have your own curriculum within that. Another soul type might be, let's keep harmony and balance. Let's make sure everybody's needs are met
Mm.
and everybody's heard and seen, you know, and there can be different curriculum. People are working within that too. So there's different soul types, and then there's different personality types. You know, you know, it's like the hard drive maybe for you would say let's find balance and harmony, and everyone is heard and everyone has a seat at the table, and there's, you know, there's balance and there's harmony. And maybe on a personality level, you know, there's like that's the hard drive, and then the apps are, I'm going to work on being a mom, I'm going to work on being a therapist, I'm going to work on making clay pots, or, you know, whatever kind of projects. It's like apps running on the computer, but the hard drive says, "Oh, let's keep everything in balance." You know,
Got it. So how did you go from teaching music to teaching clairvoyance and being a spiritual guide?
I've been teaching everything as I go. I learned to drum, and I started teaching people drumming. Learned to swim, I teach people to swim. I learned to scuba,
Really?
I teach people to scuba.
Really?
And so I started doing this. And at first I was like, no, I don't want to be a spiritual teacher. I probably did that, you know, in a past life or something. I'm a musician. I'm going to play music and play my
Mm.
drums. And it
Mhm.
was a gradual thing that the more I learned about the spiritual connection, and all my energy and awareness and enthusiasm went to that. And the music slowly kind of faded away. Not faded away. I still play. There's a keyboard behind me, and my drums and marimba are in the next room. But it was a gradual process. As I got more tuned in, I'm like, there's nothing more important in the universe than this. And I
Mm.
always had this feeling too that my time for my work in the world, as I was growing up, I'm like, it's not time yet. It's not time yet. It's not
Yeah.
time yet. Now
Mhm.
it is time.
It is time. And how do you know that? Because I feel like that too. I really feel like something flipped. How do you know? How do you intuitively know that?
Well, learning to look and see energy and seeing through the pattern of my clients coming into, they're having abilities open up like impasse. I'm feeling energy around me. It's overwhelming. I just have to curl up and be at home. And I want to
Mhm.
be out with people, but I can't because it's too much. You can
Mm.
adjust. That can all be adjusted. It's like a volume knob. There is a
Yeah.
volume knob. And that's just like the first ability coming up. So I would see it through clients. I would experience it myself. We talked a lot about it with my teacher. My teacher passed away a year ago, but for the 18 years I was with him or whatever, we were steadily preparing for this, and he helped us as teachers too. It's a group
Wow.
of like advanced clairvoyants, so helping us really prepare as teachers and be ready. It's like the time is now. We're in the middle of it. This is it.
Yeah.
And so being aware of these extra frequencies is natural. That's what's supposed to happen. And
Yes.
so then the next step is to learn to manage that.
Yeah. Can you imagine if you learned to manage it when you were a kid? That's what I hope
Oh,
we change, right? I hope that's what all this opening does, is that it's like, oh, this is just one of your classes, kid. You know, you go learn about your intuition, and you don't just memorize. To your point, you go and learn how to, you know, intuit, and then figure out what your individual gift is going to be to the world.
oh, are you watching the telepathy tapes? Are you listening to that? It's like a number one
No,
podcast. Oh my God, it's blowing everybody's mind.
really?
Yeah,
What's
you
it
got
called?
to.
The telepathy tapes?
Yeah, telepathy tapes. So
Okay.
a filmmaker started working with a neuropsychologist, and through nonverbal autistic individuals, they
Okay.
discovered once they got a pad to be able to start communicating, they discovered that they're highly psychic, like
Wow.
really psychic. They would do these double blind tests and stuff. Mom, somebody picks up a card, and person in the other room, the nonverbal person, goes, "Oh, it's yellow. There's a number 14652 on it," and they would nail it every time, like basically
Wow.
100%. I couldn't do that well. Like they were just nailing it, and so it's changing. It's putting it out in the mainstream vernacular, starting with this marginalized group that of nonverbal, and maybe a expert says that person will never get past fourth grade or something, but they're brilliant. They just can't communicate. So when I look at them, they're just not connected properly. The
Wow.
spirit's not all the way in. So they don't have all the spirit in there to animate the body, but they're
Wow.
completely aware. And I did on my YouTube a thing about telepathy tapes and talking more about it from a clairvoyant perspective. And somebody put back in the comments, it was either there or Instagram or something. She said there's a teacher that was working with nonverbal clientele, and there was this young boy that was just unconsolable and angry and all this stuff going on. And an intuitive friend said, "Well, just visualize some hearts going out to him." And she said, "Well, I'll try it." And this was the teacher of the autistic individuals. And she tried it. And immediately, this student that went from just really angry, erupting event, got down on his knees and hugged her.
Oh my
She
gosh, you're
changed the
kidding.
energy in her mind. And so
Wow.
it's like, I mean, this is not new information for me, but it's causing people to really look, where are your thoughts? What are the thoughts you're putting out? What if we all changed our thoughts to happy thoughts,
Wow.
or
And
kind
so,
thoughts?
yeah, and to know that there is this whole new group of beings coming in that are getting used to our energy, or like you said, we're calling them autistic, but they are gifted beyond belief, and they just haven't figured out how to have a body personality yet, really, like what you called it. Or maybe they're
That's
egoless.
exactly right.
Yeah.
Well, the woman doing the film, and she's made this podcast series as she's doing the film, said that one of the non-speakers told her, "I didn't realize I had a body."
What? Wow.
I mean,
Wow.
I've looked at some of these too, just curious. I don't mean to be a clairvoyeur or anything, but I was just
Yeah.
curious, and I would look at, and I said, there's one young man who seems to be a leader, and I would see his energy is really spread out. Like he's not
Mm.
in his container of the body, but he's not just in the room. He's like 2 counties over, just really
Wow.
spread out, and having the energy that spread out. And it's just spirit, right? So you don't have to be in a container. That's what we're doing, being in these bodies, is being in this container. But he was really
Wow.
spread out. So he had complete awareness in that state of, Mom's driving to the grocery store. She just took a left turn, but she turned around because she forgot something and came back. And the kid is able to tell Mom on a pad later that's what happened. And she's like, "That's exactly what happened. How would you know that?"
Oh my gosh.
He's actually so spread out that he can see it and know it.
Wow. Well, what a gift to the world it would be if these, these helpers, really embraced and kept going for this. It almost sounds like a brand new human.
They're teaching us, aren't they, to be
Yeah.
more kind in their thoughts.
Wow. Wow. Well, we just sort of got in that cool rabbit hole, but I'm glad to know about it. I had no idea about that at all, which surprised
It,
me as
it,
much as I searched around. But
it
back
represents It's a paradigm shift, and it's a part of it, and it's bridging science into reality. We think all the woo-woo people that go, "Oh, you have a soul and you have spirit and you should get the
Mhm.
crystals." Yep, I got the crystals, you bet. And, you know,
Yeah.
but these nonverbal people, there was one story of a young man that the mom brought home some rocks that were prayed to. Like I pray that people have wellness, and I pray that people are in love and stuff. And she didn't think anything about rocks. Who cares about rocks? And she brought them in, and that kid beeline to the rocks and is like, "Oh, there's good energy on it."
Wow.
And she had no idea. Just thought, "Oh, that's the woo-woo people. They're over there. I'm in the real world and practical, and I'm getting a job, and I'm
Yeah.
going up the ladder."
Yeah. Well, I can really tell how dedicated you are to humanity because you're not even focusing on yourself during this podcast, but I want to go back to you.
Oh,
That's okay. But, just to sort of close up the podcast with you, do you have a specific client that you work with? Or do you like to attract a certain type of person? Are you still teaching people other things besides clairvoyance and spiritual guides? You said I'm a teacher of other things.
I don't actively teach music anymore, so it's all spiritual development. I do readings and healings and teaching. My favorite thing is teaching others how to open their own abilities. The ideal
Okay.
client coming in is somebody that maybe they're already picking up stuff like an empath or HSP, highly sensitive person. They're like, "I can't live
Mm,
my life because I'm so tuned in to this other stuff and it's overwhelming to me." And I think there's a lot of books and strategy from the body personality part, that the body personality says you need to just not be that, or just pull yourself away, but you're still being it. Um,
yes.
but what they're picking up is on the other level. It
Mm,
registers in the emotions, but it starts on the energy level. So the energy management of that. So my ideal client would be somebody that's already tuned in, they're already intuitive, and they want to take the next step, or they're empathic and it's a problem. They want to learn to manage it. And I work with a lot of helpers. Mr.
mm.
Rogers would call the helpers healers, people
Yeah.
who work with others, because I
Yes.
love to help healers stay tuned up so you can keep helping other people.
Yes. Awesome. Wow. Well, and where can people find you?
Go to juliaharrell.com, make sure and get on my mailing list. You can do a discovery call. We'll figure out a good place for you to get started. Most people like to start with the reading, validate who you really are as the
Yeah.
soul. Yeah, it's very transformative.
And that's Julia, HARRELL.com.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. And I know I found you on LinkedIn. So if some people are on LinkedIn and want to reach out to you that way, is that okay?
Yeah, I don't tend to personally spend much time there. I've been more active on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and
Okay.
on YouTube. I have a live YouTube every Friday at noon Pacific on different
Oh,
topics.
oh, nice. So what's your YouTube channel?
Julia Harrell Spiritual Guide.
Okay. So that's another place where they can come and just listen more directly about what you do. Okay.
Yeah,
Awesome.
check out some of the past lives. And if you're in there and you comment live, you might get a little mini reading on your answer and get some little communication.
Nice. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here. I have a feeling there's a way more stuff that you could describe. And I can tell you're really here for the humanity by the way you just completely talked about other things that are helpful, right? I mean, and to your point, like, I've always thought autism was really a gift, just a really frustrating one for us that don't understand. And it's so rewarding to hear that somebody is finally tackling that and that there's real progress. So that's great to know. I'm going to check it out. Thank you.
It's gonna, yeah, you're gonna love it. Go listen in order. It's really fun, and she's very thorough. She doesn't have her own agenda. She's presenting the information for your
Awesome.
review.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here.
It's a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Have a great rest of your day.
You too.